far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 women growing strong. 100 women where you belong. You stood tall and now you see, you have reached your destiny, woman, woman.
As people of African descent, we offer this land recognition in solidarity with the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island in the efforts and deliberate intentions toward decolonization. As people of African descent, we acknowledge the land of Turtle Island that sustains us, express deep gratitude to its indigenous peoples, and pledge to honor our dignity and divinity that ultimately connects us all. By Kay Johnson. Welcome to 100 ABC Fireside Chats. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women is a bold project initiated by co-authors and co-founders, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, Dr. Denise O'Neill Green, and Donna Jones Simmons. Our mission is to celebrate and archive the professional accomplishments of trailblazing Black women from all across Canada. The goal is to create an ever-expanding database available for current and future generations via print media, public and private libraries, as well as our website, which is www.100abcwomen.ca. In addition to our fireside chats on topics that matter to our communities, such as education, healthcare, entertainment, creative arts, trade union, and so much more, we offer biennial book launching galas and biannual symposiums. The co-authors and co-founders would like to take this opportunity to thank each of you for attending today's fireside chat. We know that you will find these sessions educational and inspirational. So sit back, relax, and hear from our brilliant and talented honorees.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day and happy International Women's Month. I would like to welcome you all to today's fireside chat, Remaining Active Post-Retirement. I'm your host, Kayla M. Stevenson. I'm an adjudicator, mediator, and arbitrator. I own an award-winning mediation firm called K Legal and Mediation Services. I would now like to introduce my wonderful panelists this afternoon. I would first like to mention that all of my panelists are 100 ABC honorees. Carol in 2022, Bernice in 2016, and Donna in 2024, and myself as well as a 2024 honoree. Now I would like to introduce my panelists. First, we have Carol Commission, a retired former chief financial officer with several years of successes in financial management and leadership in the IT industry. Carol is a passionate volunteer on many not-for-profit boards. Currently, Carol is a director on the board of directors of the Catholic Children's Aid Society and also a member of the governance committee. Carol is a treasurer and secretary of the Rotary Club of North York, an immediate past president and chair of the board of directors of Tropicana Community Services, and a member of the audit and governance committee for that board. Next, we have Bernice Carnegie, a community elder who has dedicated 4 decades to helping build kinder and more caring communities. Bernice has enjoyed various career choices and transitioned from 10 years as a stay-at-home mom to a variety of professional roles. Bernice has recently made history as part of the first BIPOC ownership of a championship women's professional hockey team. Bernice has also received numerous local, provincial, and federal awards for education, development, and communication. Bernice has retired in 2013. And our third and special panelist this afternoon is Donna Jones-Simmons. Donna is co-founder, co-author, and the architect of the 100 ABC Women Project. She is on several not-for-profit boards and is currently the first Black vice president of the Rotary Club of Toronto, the largest club in Canada and one of the oldest clubs in the world. Donna has retired in 2013. Thank you, panelists, for being here this afternoon. If you have any questions or would like to ask our panelists in this, our panelists in this discussion, please leave them in the chat and we will address them. I would like to start with my first question. And my first question is for Carol. As someone who is looking forward to retirement, I would like to know, when do you think is a good time to retire?
Thank you, Rila. And I would like to thank 100 ABC Women for giving me the opportunity today to spend some time chatting with these wonderful ladies. So when is a good time to retire? That's a question for the person who is planning to retire. But thinking about retirement starts about 15 to 20 years before you plan to retire. Because retirement involves many stages. There's a pre-orientation stage where you start saying, you know what? I got to start thinking about this. Life is tough. What am I going to do here? How am I going to do this? What do I want to do? And then there's another stage that comes along in terms of looking at different strategies, you know, how I'm going to do it. Another stage is, so you retire and then you figure, oh my God, this is it. I'm done. I'm happy. You know, life is good. And then there's another stage that comes around that says, oh my God, is this all there is to retirement? I'm bored. I'm fed up. What's happening here? So there are different stages. Then you have to relook again, relook and say, okay, did I do the right thing? What do I need to do here? So in terms of determining when it's the right time, it comes from you and from your heart. You will know when. And you have to make sure all your ducks are in a row before that happens. Don't know if that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Carol. Does any of the other panelists want to answer this question?
I certainly would like to add to it. I mean, Carol laid out a good plan, but I also want to say it's an individual, personal circumstance that makes you determine when you want to retire. For example, you may have gained an inheritance. Then in that case, retirement may be immediate. So, as well, depends on your lifestyle you want to live going forward. If you want to live a humble life, if you want to live a gifted life, those are things you want to consider. So I agree with Carol, but I just wanted to add those two elements to it. It depends on your circumstance.
And don't forget if you win the lottery.
Oh, well, I mean, a million times.
Don't forget that part.
There may be times when it's about a feeling, and sometimes you feel like you've put in your 30 years or 40 years in a particular field, and it now does not satisfy you anymore. It feels like it's more of a burden than an actual, gee, I was excited to go to this job. So if you're not excited about going to the job and you feel like it's overwhelming for you, then you're probably thinking you want to do something a little bit different with your life. But I know for me, I started to feel like I wasn't keeping up. I was very organized throughout my life. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the credenza behind my desk and I'm going, oh, I have a whole stack of papers there that didn't get filed, didn't get put in the right place. And I'm going, this doesn't feel good. I can't find anything anymore. What happened to the Bernice that was so organized and wanted to do things? And it may be too that you just don't want to do things the way the organization that you're in is functioning, and you're saying this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm not enjoying interacting with the people, maybe, or I'm not enjoying doing the work. So you have to make a decision based on how you feel as an individual, what is going to make you feel good, because we're here to enjoy ourselves. We're not here to put ourselves in situations where we are burdened by anything. I really believe that life is about making choices that help you to enjoy each stage of your life.
Correct. And I'd like to add to that. So you said you may not like the people, or you're not keeping up. Sometimes it's not retirement. You may want to take another job. It could be that. But something clicked in my head. Technology and the changes in the environment also push people out of jobs. They can't keep up. So again, it's pushing, and sometimes you retire and it doesn't answer the question because you have to keep up with technology. Going to the grocery store, you're scanning things now, maybe not have a cashier anymore. So sometimes you can't run away from it.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for all of those comments. So now, once one decides to make this decision to retire, what are some of the strategies to consider for pre-retirement?
So I'll pick up on that one. I think once you've decided, I got to look at this thing, you first have to start saying, okay, what do I want to do when I retire? Is it going to Jamaica and going on the beach and sailing down the Don River? Is it, baking cakes and selling it? Is it taking care of the grandkids? That's all you want to do? Is it the sweetness of nothingness? You just lie down every day like me till 10 in the morning and you don't get up until then? What do you want to do? Because depending on what you want to do will determine some of the things you have to do or put in place to make it happen. So I'm on my own. I have no support and I want to sleep all day and do nothing, don't work. Well, guess what? I got to have funds to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to feed myself. So how am I going to do that? Am I financially astute? Do I need support? Do I need help to guide me? Do I need a consultant to share with me what I have today and how long it will last and what I need to do to get there? So there are many things you have to think about. First, what do you want to do? Secondly, Do I need help to guide me so that I can get there? That's a whole another fireside chat in terms of financial guidance and getting a consultant to share with you. Couple of things. You have to look at taxation. Is there a benefit to my taxes if I retire this year versus that year? What are the benefits around the funding that the government will pay me, old age, those kinds of things. So you need to get advice and counsel, do it early. Get somebody like me who's old like me and probably have done it already and try and ask me some questions, mentor, those are the things I would recommend in terms of what do you need to do, because there's a lot of things you got to put in place so that you can get where you want to get to in 15 or 20 years or 5 years or how many other years it is.
There's definitely something you need when you retire, and that's money. So you know what? If you're in a job that has a pension, if you're in a job that offers you a chance to put money in and they also put money in, you're foolish if you don't do it, because that just makes it easier for you in the end. Because there are many of us who had jobs where there was no pension. And believe me, old age security and Canada pension does not do it for you. That means that you are not going to be, lying around on the balmy beach, spending loads of dollars. It's not happening. So you really do have to think about what does that look like. And I'm very grateful to my father, who was a financial advisor when I was 20 years old. And he started me putting just a little bit of money away, just put 10% of, your monthly salary away, because you have to have money to be able to manage money. It just doesn't come out of thin air unless you're a really smart entrepreneur and you've come up with some other fancy way. The average person, I'm just talking about the average person, really does have to think about what they're going to do. And the sooner you get working on it, the better off you're going to be. So give it some consideration. You can have fun now and you can have fun later if you plan it properly.
I just want to pick up on something that Carol mentioned about what do you want to do when you retire? That is such an important question when you're making these decisions and determining when to retire as well. I know, for example, my husband certainly wants to, when he retires, just look after his grandkids, his 5 grandkids. That's important to him. He just love them to death. But that may not be the case for a lot of people. So I would say some things to consider are your health issues. I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day, and she says, the person retired one day, the next day they were dead. So my advice is retire early if you can afford it, assuming that you have in place the things that Carol and Bernice talked about. The financial wherewithal is in place, and you have a plan for when you retire. Because without a plan, as they've justly said, you would be bored. You could be bored, but you need to make sure that your life is still fulfilling. So that's my advice on that.
Thank you.
I want to pick up a little bit on what Bernie said, that you'll be happy then and maybe happy then, when you retire. For me, and I was telling my granddaughter this yesterday, try and be happy all the time. If you put a plan in place, that will make you sleep better and you'll feel happy that you're doing something about it, versus waiting until the time is there and you say, Christ, what am I going to do? I have no savings, I have no this, I have no that. For me, once my handbag is clean, once a month I clean my handbag, I feel good. Right? So say once you put a plan in place, you start to feel, well, I only have $1,000 in it. I know I can't live on that. But guess what? I've started a $10 savings or whatever it takes. so that you start to feel better. And if the job isn't working out and you want to say, forget it, I'm done. You know, you have a plan in place. So for me, it gives you that confidence and it gives you that sense of self-satisfaction as you execute on that plan over time.
It's all well and good to ask yourself, what do I want to do? But usually people don't always know what they want to do. And as you have lived life a little and you've experimented with one, it could be that you started volunteering and you discovered that you like that aspect or that particular area of life. And so that's something you decide you want to do later. But a lot of times we don't always know that. The only thing we know is that we hopefully want to be healthy. We hopefully want to be happy, and we hopefully have enough money to do whatever that is. So be prepared for the unexpected. And a lot of it has to do with how you handle your money.
Yeah, and to add to that, be prepared and be flexible. Because as you go down one path, like he wants to take care of his grandkids, he may get exhausted after the first 2 months, and then say, you know what? I like that, but let him go home for now. I want to do something else too, along with it. So for me, it's flexibility. And it's a time where you're so independent and feel good about yourself. You're financially savvy. Your life throws a curveball. You know, COVID comes and whatever happens, but it gives you that confidence. Is what I feel.
Carol, to be clear, he's thinking about taking them back and forth to school. I think that's what he meant.
Okay, that's something to do. Okay, all right, I get it.
That's great. So they're
Yes.
not small enough where he's with them all day.
All day,
He
yeah,
can
right.
drop them for a few hours and then, okay, I see
Yeah.
where he's going with that.
Yeah.
Great comments. So I have a question that came off of what Bernice had mentioned. I'm wondering if any of you, and maybe I'll throw it to Donna first, if you have any ideas on things that one can do during retirement to earn money.
You can do so many things to earn money, but my focus, if I can talk on a personal level, wasn't to earn money, but to give back to the community. That was more important to me. And you can earn money doing that. But what is most important to you is giving back. I tell you 2 examples that I've been doing that for me, it's not earning money. It may earn me something internally. I feel fulfilled internally. For example, yesterday I spent the entire day working on a project with some women, sewing menstrual kits for homeless women. They can't afford pads. So we're sewing these menstrual kits that they can wash them and reuse them. They're homeless. Another project that I'm working on is with the Rotary Club, that is in St. Kitts, 1,500 people have diabetes, and they just can't afford to buy syringes. So they, whatever syringe you have or find, they will use it and use it and use it again. And you know what that means: infection and ultimately death. So I've got the Rotary Club saying we will commit to providing 40,000 syringes for these 1,500 people over a 2-year period. And those are kind of things I prefer to think about and work on rather than seeking money all the time. There are things you can do to earn money, like I said, but that's more important to me, because the minute you begin to think of money, sometimes you just don't do it. You just don't do it because you're too focused on the financial aspects of life, when so many of our communities are suffering and need some help. So that's what I would like to contribute to that question.
Thank you, Donna. Would anybody else like to contribute?
I would like to respond to the person in terms of maybe affordability, maybe a challenge for that person. So while they may want to get what we are getting from giving back, affordability is an issue. And if that's the case, I would strongly recommend it comes back to what it is you like to do. And depending on what you like to do, explore the opportunities. Mr. Google, I love Mr. and Mrs. Google. You go on there and you could do all kind of searches. It comes back to what do you want to do to earn that money? Whatever that is, start doing the legwork to find out what opportunities exist in the field that you're interested in. But I agree with Donna. For me, it's about giving back, and the pleasure is undeniable. The satisfaction is huge.
It's more than just that. I think that by the time you get to be our age and kind of in the senior years, and I love saying I'm an elder, actually. It's about feeling a responsibility of knowing that you've had a good life and that you're able and willing and wanting to give back to others. Now, making money can be a byproduct of it, but hopefully by the time you get to be retired, and I'm going to use the word retired, but I think you should take the tired out of it and just go, yes, I'm reinventing myself. I'm reinventing myself. And I loved watching my father, Herb Carnegie, reinvent himself from being an athlete into what he ended up doing in the community. And I think I took a page from his book and said, yes, how many times what can I do? What are my skill sets that allow me to do this or that or the other thing? And so at this particular stage in my life, I was very excited. I didn't think the things that happened to me would. I got a chance to write a published book, and I'm so glad I did, because it gave me an opportunity to share a part of my life with other people, to help my children understand parts of our life that they never would have heard about. I have a family website. I've been putting the stories of my family on the website. Instead of just doing books where I know a lot of people may not get a chance to see them, they may get a chance to go into the website and find out how many amazing family members I've had that have done such inspiring things. There's no money in that, but I am part of that ancestry chain, and I say go there, and if you want to find out more about our ancestors,
That's great. So that goes into my next question, Bernice. So, and someone made a comment, so I'm going to mention the comments. So it says, I think it is also important that in the planning, you can include post-retirement plans for keeping active, such as volunteering and involvement in your communities. So all of you have mentioned volunteering. Was there anything else that you think would assist in keeping yourselves physically and mentally active during retirement?
I certainly want to answer
well, you
that.
don't live in silos, and it's really, really important that you maintain your health and you maintain physically and mentally, because if you don't, somebody else pays the price. Somebody else has to come and pick up after you. Somebody else has to come and look after you. And the one thing that I'm very conscious of is I have 3 amazing kids who have always been there for me. But if there's any one thing that I want to do, I want to make sure that my kids don't have to change their lifestyle because I didn't do the right things in mine. So I want to make sure that I'm eating properly. I know I don't exercise enough, but I try to get out there. There are lots of things we don't do, but we can do a little better. Anything is a little better, you know what I mean? So trying to keep your body active and moving, because they say you don't use it, you lose it. And here's one thing to think about. If you had a car, my son came up with this, is sharing this with me the other day. He said, if you have a car and you knew that you would only have one car for the rest of your life, you would really look after that car. Well, we only got one body. We got one body for the rest of our life. If we neglect our eyes, we neglect our teeth, we neglect, we can go on and on with that one. What are we doing? What are we thinking?
Absolutely.
I
Donna.
want to add some more to that.
Oh, go right ahead, Carol, and then Donna.
I think also remaining mentally fit, meaning continuous education. And my book every day is my newspapers. I read a Global Mail every day. If I don't read it, it piles up and I have to go through it. So another thing is keeping up with technology as best you can, because all around us is technology. So if you want to remain relevant and feel relevant, that continuous education is key. Another thing that I think is key, I always wanted to play the piano. So once I retired, that was one of the first things I did. I got a teacher and I started it. Fortunately, she passed and I haven't gone back to it. But kind of do what you always wanted to do and never had the time or maybe the resources to do it. So it's not just volunteering, but volunteering for you.
Thank you, Carol. And the last comment for this question, Donna.
Yeah, I'm going to use Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, a very close friend of mine and co-author and co-founder of 100 ABC Women, as an example to respond to this question. This lady, 86 years old, during Black History Month, delivered 4 times per day a presentation. 4 times per day, every single day of Black History Month. This year we had 29 days.
Mm-hmm.
She is mentally fit. Yes, physically, she's getting there, but mentally sharp as a whip, a walking book, a walking history book about Black history. I want to be a Jean Augustine when I grow up. But I'm saying this because she doesn't see the age factor. She doesn't want to keep anything to keep her back. She keeps on giving and giving and giving, and that's her goal, to be mentally fit and physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
So short and long answer, keep your mind sharp, keep your history going, keep your knowledge up. I heard Carol talk about the technology. She's still into technology. Some people 50 years old can't figure out technology, and she's 86 years old. So if this is an example of how to maintain your mental and physical health, because they all interact. The physical has some reaction or interaction with your mental health. So physical and mental, they both go together. And I really believe that. So keep physically fit through mental health, good mental health.
Thank you so much. I want to be like Jean as well. That's a great goal. So all of you on the panel have made retirement sound great. So I was already looking forward to retirement. You guys make it sound great. You volunteer, you pre-plan, you get your stuff together, get all your ducks in a row, make sure you have enough money. And that's all well and good. But retirement can come with some challenges. With COVID-19 and now the prices of just about everything going up, bills getting more expensive, some people are considering about returning to work full time. What do you think about returning to work post-retirement? And do you think that this is possible? I'll throw the question first to Carol.
Oh boy. Okay. So anything is possible. Once you have life and health, anything is possible. So it is possible. Again, it comes back to what do you want? Now, if the financial situation is such that you have to do it, okay. So it's something I have to do because I can't pay my rent. I need it. First thing I would do, again, I would try to look for something that makes me happy. The industry that makes me happy. I need to be paid, but I also need to find something that will give me pleasure at the end of the day. So for me, it's an easy answer. Yes, anything is possible. Yes, if I have to do it, I have to do it. So I used to be a CFO, but I don't want to be that anymore. That pressure I don't need. I just need the bucks and I'll get less bucks. So what is the next best thing I would like to do? Maybe work in a store. You know, I mean, I like fashion, maybe do that. I'll still get a salary, a lot less. So to me, it comes back to what would you like to do? What gives you pleasure? And pursue that so that even though you're in retirement, you're still enjoying what you do. That would be my response.
Thank you, Carol. Donna.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to that. I would suggest that you look at what were you good at? What were you good at that you can make that lemon, you can use that lemon to make lemonade? For example, many of us realize that today's kids need education. You can be a tutor. You can be a tutor. You can make money from that, sell yourself. And it's not a lot of hard work because the kids need that education and that support. A lot of parents are looking for tutors for maths, English, whatever. You can do that. And that's not a hard thing. What about if you play the piano? You can teach your piano, you know, do it virtually or in person. Some people are good at sewing. You can make dolls, you can make clothing, but do it at your own pace. And that's what makes you happy, right? So there are a lot of things. If you were a technical person, you can be that consultant, help people develop their websites. A lot of great people, you don't have to retire because, you know, the age says you have to, but you still have something to give back. Our communities need people like us who can give back. I give back to 100 ABC, not for pay, but I do a lot of the technical stuff that relates to 100 ABC. And I hope people appreciate that. I sincerely hope so. But these are things that we can do. Yes, you're volunteering your time, but you can develop some skills that can pay you back eventually.
Thank you,
I hope
Donna.
that makes sense.
It does. Bernice, I'll go to you.
I was fortunate that I was working in a field where I could continue one of the phases of the job, and that was speaking. So I used to speak to about 20,000 students a year in my job, and I continue to speak, not specifically always to children, but adults and other organizations. But the difference is that I do it on my own terms. If it happens to be a time when I don't want to, then I don't. But I try not to say no. I don't advertise myself, but by word of mouth, people continue to seek me out. And I have been traveling a lot lately. The charity that I started 3 years ago has just released a documentary about my father and another gentleman. and it's touring in the US, and they continually invite me to those screenings to talk to the audiences afterwards. And so I love it. I love the connection with the people. I love continuing to share a historical story that includes my family and myself. And I've been included in several different major documentaries that are out there right now, which I don't get paid for all of that, but just the fact that I participated, and my purpose was to keep our family legacy and story going. And so I'm still fulfilling my purpose because I have this opportunity to go and meet all of these wonderful, wonderful people. So I just got back from New Jersey and Pittsburgh, and I was in Boston and Baltimore, and yeah, so I've been having a good time.
So this is a great. You ladies make retirement sound great, but I want to kind of get into some of the maybe not so great parts. So I'm going to ask a two-part question, and I'll turn it over to Donna if you would like to answer it. So what are some of the emotional stages of retirement, and how does retirement affect your relationships?
Well, I would say when I decided to retire in November 2013, it was an emotional day for me. No two ways about it. It's, am I doing the right thing? I had to ask the question, am I doing the right thing? Will I become irrelevant? And that's a personal thing, you know. I was scared. I was scared about retiring because I didn't know what the future held. So what I did, Kayla, was I said to my husband, I'm going to retire today, just like that, cold turkey. Will you support me? He said, oh, why are you retiring? I said, I think I can do more in life, but will you support me? That's important, that emotional aspect. Will your partner support you? And he said, yes, I will, but I have to go to work now. I just wanted that. Yes, I just wanted the affirmation from you. And I made that decision. So that was a tough decision for me to make. I also said to myself, so, okay, I'm retired. What am I going to do? I began to panic. What am I going to do now? Okay, I made this decision. What am I going to do? And I said to myself, maybe I can do some volunteer work. Or maybe I can, help other people's, Black girls do certain things. So I had a great conversation with Augustine, and we talked about, a lot of our women, we don't have things documented around here. We know they're doing great work, but nobody knows about it. It's our biggest secret. Let's make the invisible visible. And that's how 100 ABC came about, between her, myself, and Dr. Denise O'Neill Green. And so I began on that treadmill, and it hasn't stopped. I mean, I just enjoy every single moment of the day just doing that. But then again, I was scared initially, don't forget that. The other thing that I thought about was, can I afford it? See, I was just rational about everything. Oh, gonna retire. Then we talked to her, as Carol mentioned, we talked to our financial advisors and planners, etc., because we had been doing it for years. And they said, of course you can. And here's your strategy. Here's how you need to make that decision. So yes, I'm scared. And yes, I made that decision, but it was a sound decision, something I have not regret. And you know something, Kayla? Sometimes we have to be bold in order to make some difficult decisions. And I think I was bold to do this.
Yes, I agree. We have to be bold, pre-retirement in our what we do. And even post-retirement, we have to make bold
Absolutely.
decisions as well. I agree.
But you see, what made it easier for me is the fact that I wanted to go on vacation. I wanted to travel a bit, but I was inhibited by, you only have 3 weeks vacation or months vacation. I was inhibited by those things. And I said, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to retire.
Wow.
Here you go.
And we just got a little bit of a tidbit on how 100 ABC Woman was invented. So for those listening, I mean, if you haven't said it before, people definitely heard it here first,
Thank
how
you.
100 ABC Women was started. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're
I'll
welcome.
go to you, Bernice. Would you like to tell us about relationships? How does retirement affect your relationships, and what are the emotional stages for you of retirement?
Well, I've been single for a long, long time. My children were educated and off on their own. And actually, when I made my first adjustment to working, I was in my mid-50s. And that's when I decided that I wanted to take on my family's charity full time. And I was able to do it because I was on my own. And I have to laugh because the first year that I was a board member with that charity. And so I worked for a year without being paid. I actually left my job with the government and worked for a year without any payment. And many great things happened. Opened about 20 schools to our project. And I went to the board and I said, okay, do you want to go forward or do you want to go back? And they said, well, you know what? This is looking good. So I said, well, if you want to go forward, I said, I still do have a mortgage on my house. So I need to transition from the board to actually being a paid staff member. And they agreed and gave me a title. They paid me $10,000 for that year that I didn't get paid. They started paying me $20,000 a year. And I looked at it and I went, okay, this was, at the time, it was half of what I had been earning. And we're talking 40 some odd years ago. So, and I said, can I do this? Can I do this? And I'm going, yes, this is going to make me happy. And it did make me happy. I had 17 years as the executive director of that charity. And now here I am in another stage in my life, enjoying the opportunity to travel and to talk to hundreds of people from all over. I'm meeting people not just from my own little circle, but I'm meeting people from all over the world who are interested in our story and how our history has made a difference. And then to actually become a part owner of a women's professional hockey team and make history doing it by being the first BIPOC ownership, to go into the dressing room and talk to the young ladies, inspire them. And I inspired them to a championship. And here's the championship right here. I'm going to show it to you. The championship ring, flashing with all the little diamonds in it.
Love it.
So you know what? What can I say? I'm having a good time.
Thank you so much, Bernice. So I'll turn it over to you, Carol, for the last comments on this question.
In terms of the different stages and the negative part of retirement, that's the question, right?
Yes.
So the stages that I talked about earlier is orientation, planning to retire, I talked about a honeymoon period where you feel, oh my God, now I'm retired. That should be great. And then comes, wait a minute, is this all there is to this? Depression, loneliness. What the hell is going on now? We were probably people who volunteered to retire. Let's put it that way. We made the decision when to retire. If you did not make that decision and somebody else made it for you, more depression and loneliness. Because all of a sudden you're put in a position where, what the hell am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And so I just looked at the chat, and so one of the things is you step back. What happened? What the hell happened here? Is it that the organization went out of business? They couldn't afford us anymore? Nothing to do with me. I just happened to be part of the group that had to go for the business to survive. Is it that? Is it my performance? Is it that I'm not keeping up? What is the real, this is inner self talking to self. What is the real reason that I'm now forced to retire? I think you have to have that conversation with yourself. Once you have that conversation with yourself, if you feel that you figured it out, then you start putting action plans in place to deal with the loneliness, the dissatisfaction, the anger you feel, all of that. I would highly recommend talking to a mentor or getting advice and counsel. Because when you're emotional like that, it's harder to think clearly. So retirement is fabulous when you decide on it. But when somebody decided for you, that is pain. I hope I answered the
Well,
question.
thank you. Before you go, Donna, before you go, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to, I didn't know if the rest of the panelists were able to look at the chat. I was going to ask this question after.
Yes.
So I'm just
Yeah.
going to read it for you. And then Donna, I'll go to you to answer or to add your comments. And then Bernice. So this question says, what do you say to people who have been forced to retire, either because they were forced out of the job or they feel the effects of ageism and they lose all self-confidence? A friend of mine is dealing with this and I don't know how to advise her.
I often think, to be honest with you, Kayla, is that, and I think Carol answered that question, to be honest, too. Often we have a sense that this is going to happen. You get the vibes. You get the vibes. But what I want people to begin to think about, how do I look at this as the glass half full? Maybe they're doing me a favor. You know, I could be there on the job, totally stressed out, have a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
So look at it as a glass half full and say, how could I move forward? Knowing I have gained some skills, some knowledge, how can I further myself? Because if you get stuck in that rut, it ain't good for you. So that's my comment to that.
Thank you, Donna. Bernice.
Sometimes when things happen to us, at the time they're happening, we don't understand it. We resist it. We don't like the change. We were so used to doing things this way instead of that way. And so one of the things you might want to ask yourself is, why did this happen for me instead of to me?
To me. Mm-hmm.
And I often think about that when I ended up being a single mom. At the time, I was thinking of the difficulties and the 3 kids, and I now have to learn to support them, where the money was always there through my husband, and now it's me. It's just about me doing this. So we need to sometimes take a step back and look at what's happening. And we always have choices. You can choose to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to, blame somebody else. But what happens, happens, and you have to deal with what happens as it's happening and figure out what is the best way for me to deal with this situation. I am one of those people who went into a depression. And it lasted a long time. I would say I was depressed for 6 years. I called myself a walking depressed person.
Wow.
That's what I would have called myself. I am happy to be back to the happier person I am and never wanting to go back there. But I think it was my children who, I had to keep up, get up every day, make sure they were bathed, make sure they were fed, make sure they get their homework done, make sure they got to they helped me. That helped me through it. So whatever it takes to help you through it, find what helps you through it and do it. Because to sit in a corner and feel sorry for yourself doesn't do you any good.
Nope.
And nobody wants to be around you anyway when you're like that. They don't. They want the positive person. So I keep my fingers crossed that I don't go back to those times, but I also am very thankful for the people around me who kind of, and I'm grateful to myself.
You have to be.
I'm grateful to myself that I picked my boots up and I didn't give up and I found a way to move forward, because it's mental. Everything we do is mental until it's physical. So right now I'm feeling the aches and pains in my knees. That's part, that's the Mr. It's Mr. Arthuritis that has been visiting me. But I'm walking through it with a smile and trying to figure out how do I manage that with the engagements that I'm doing. So I want to put my arms around you, and I want to hug you, and I want to hug that person who is feeling the pain of not feeling wanted, because that's what it is, that feeling of not being wanted. So sometimes we have to make ourselves do things so that we show the value of who we are, and then we come out of it. Hopefully we come out of it.
That's so inspirational, Bernice. So inspirational.
Yes, you talk about you want to hug her. I remember being told, hug yourself each day. Hug yourself. Just put your arms around you.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add there quickly for 1 second, is that I've heard too many stories I've encountered so many stories where people were really down and out, but they picked themselves up, they re-educated themselves, and they just went straight up. And today they're vice presidents for organizations, they created their own organizations. They have really started. And a lot of that happens in our Black community. So we can't afford to let people bring us down and us to stay down.
Great,
I think
great.
another little thing for me that helps me is that I say to myself, you're not unique. There's so many other people fighting to get out of this paper bag, and they're doing it. So what do I need to do to get out of this paper bag? Because it's happening to so many other people. Yeah. So don't feel that you're unique. Life is a struggle.
Wow, thank you so much, panelists, for all of your comments. So before I get to my last question, I just wanted to go over a few things. So I know that, planning for retirement, we should start 15 to 20 years before. We have to be mindful of our money. I noted that you ladies did a lot of volunteer work. I noted that you also mentioned to keep up with tech. And instead of saying retirement, we're saying reinventing. I think that's great you're reinventing yourself. You're not, retiring, you're reinventing.
Mhm.
I also liked the comment that Bernice made about your kids. You shouldn't what you should do prior to retirement or during retirement should be so that your kids don't have to kind of catch up after. We also talked about Bernice's book, which you have to tell us about, and your features. So you have to let us know a little bit more about that. We did see your ring, which was great. So getting a financial advisor, and, hugging yourself and you're not unique and, getting yourself out of that paper bag. I want to ask you, you ladies dropped a lot of gems this hour. I just want to ask one more question. What is one thing overall that you would be able to tell our viewers and in the future and our listeners right now about retirement? One thing you'll leave us with today. I don't know who wants to go first. I don't want to pick on anyone. Maybe you, Carol?
Oh boy. So I wrote a one-liner here.
Okay.
Be happy. You are where you're supposed to be.
Great. Simple. Be happy. Donna, I'll go to you.
I would say keep yourself relevant. Keep relevant and relevant in many ways. Keep up to date with the news. Carol talks about reading the newspaper, the Globe and Mail on a daily basis. You probably read it 4 or 5 times. I don't know. But keep up to date with what's going on so that if you're out, you understand the conversations that are happening. You're not, okay, what are they talking about? Keep up with the tech because tech ain't going anywhere. It's here for stay. So I would say keep up to date with technology, keep up to date with what's going on in and around your world, and get out there. I go to the theater all the time. I travel whenever I can, and if I can, because it broadens your knowledge and it keeps you excited and it keeps you young. The last thing I like to leave our audience with is I like to dress up. I like to dress up. My kids are going, isn't that too young for you? You know what? Maybe it is. I don't know. But I like to make myself feel good and look good. So that's my advice.
So it was one sentence, huh? So you gave us about 20 sentences there.
Okay.
Carol, leave me alone. I'm allowed.
No, I like the last one. Be young, right? Dress young. Is that? I'm looking for the one sentence. Be young. Okay.
Bernice, do you have one sentence for us?
One sentence.
That's okay. That's okay.
The privilege of being older is you can give more than one sentence.
Yeah, okay. All right.
One of the things that I do constantly is I keep a file of inspirational sayings that I refer to, not every day, maybe even not every week, but I'll go back and I'll read them and remind myself of how important it is to stay positive. And so here's one that I wrote down from a friend by the name of Bob Dawson, who is a historical journalist for the hockey world. He said, "You don't have to stop learning when you grow old. You grow old when you stop learning." And so every time I go to a conference or an event, I always bring a pad with a pen, and I usually come out with 2 or 3 pages of something that somebody on the stage said or in the group said, because I know I'm not going to remember, but it helps me to digest and go, you know what? I knew that, but you said it in a way that reminds me that I am still relevant, It doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you're willing to continue to accept information from others and learn from others. So here's the one-liner. I finally know.
Yeah.
I know I don't know.
Right, right.
Wow. That was so great. Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our session. I want to thank all of my panelists here for your amazing positive input on this conversation and attending, and the attendees for attending the Fireside Chat this week. I'm looking forward to a part 2, something like reinventing yourself. I just want to remind the viewers to stay tuned for our next week panelists when we have barriers for BIPOCs working in Canadian sports system, amateur and professional, identify barriers to diversity in sports and the challenges presented in the Canadian sports system. We'll have Shauna there and Bernice and Dr. Leisha Strachan. Thank you so much. I also want to thank 100 ABC Women and congratulations to all of the 2024 honorees. See you all next week.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. One